Hi everybody, Megan here, the faithful fibromyalgia warrior. I hope you're all doing well. I am doing well. It is Thursday, May the 11th, 10 o'clock here in Colchester, in England, where I live, and I am feeling amazing. So if you've not been to this channel before, or if you're not familiar with my story, I have been dealing with fibromyalgia, chronic pain, inflammation, um, thyroid issues, IBS, and a host of other things, not the least of which includes anxiety and depression and struggling with food addiction and bulimia. Um, that's my past. That's everything in my background. But since I've been carnivore for almost 3 years now, I have been finding that all of those things that were once insurmountable obstacles have either become manageable or have completely gone away. So, what do I mean? Okay, for example, so 9 years ago, March of 2014, I ended up suffering with a spinal disc injury in my lower back, in the lumbar area, right between the two vertebrae, just above my sciatica, or sorry, just above my SI joint and the bone piece there. So just basically just above my tailbone area. That disc prolapsed, it bulged out. They don't know if it was just repetitive motion, constantly bending, to pick up, say, laundry or a mess, or just over the years and years of picking up after children or doing just daily household chores. Doctors don't know. Whatever it was, they figure that's what caused the disc to, just that one time, it was that final motion of pulling clothes out of the dryer was enough for the disc to bulge right out. Okay. Now, luckily, it didn't cause any sort of paralysis, thank goodness. So I never went through for surgery. The doctors, gave me cocodamol, which is equal or equivalent to Tylenol 3s with codeine, for those of you in North America. And then basically within a few months, as the pain became more widespread and was throughout the soft tissues, they also added on to that 2,100 milligrams of gabapentin a day. I was also started on sertraline, which is an antidepressant. It's what they call an SSRI, to help with, I believe it's to up your dopamine and all of that sort of stuff, okay, to help me with my anxiety, well, to help with my depression, and it was thought that it would help manage my anxiety, which didn't, but it did work for the depression anyway. So I was on all these high doses of medication for about 9 years. And 2 years ago, well, actually, no, 3 years ago, I was told I had an underactive thyroid. I had fatty liver. My triglycerides were through the roof, which was causing the fatty liver disease. Now, this was not because I was eating cakes and cookies and baked goods as far as treats every day, but I was eating sticky carbs, so bread, rice, pasta, which all convert to sugar in the liver. And on top of that, I was also eating loads and loads and loads of fruit and some starchy vegetables like carrots. Mainly, I was eating a lot of carrots, and I was also eating high fiber, dark leafy greens. And when you put all of those together, it was a perfect storm and recipe for absolute disaster in my body. I didn't know any of this at the time. Okay. So in March of 2020, I was started on the lowest dose possible of thyroid replacement therapy drug, levothyroxine, which I still take. I might have to take forever. I don't know. But that alone is not what changed and helped improve my thyroid function. what I realized was that by late spring of 2020, I had far bigger problems. All I was told was limit my fruit to one or two servings a day, and don't eat too many things like cakes and cookies. That was it. I wasn't told be careful of plants in general because of the starch, because of the carbohydrates involved. Nobody told me any of this. So here I was still eating dark leafy greens, lots of salad, raw carrots, thinking I was being healthy. Juicing, for example, with celery and spinach and apple and sweet potato and carrot, worst things I could have done for me, not knowing it at the time. And when I got to May of 2020, my weight had significantly ballooned. So I should go back a minute and say that when I first injured my spinal disc, okay, and it was acute, sharp, agonizing pain. Initially, what happened was because of how it bulged, and because of how I ended up twisting it, my right hip or the right side of my pelvic bone was about an inch higher than the left. And I'm still not completely level yet. I'm getting there, but I'm just slightly a smidge higher on the right side. However, as I'm stretching and strengthening my ligaments and tendons and joints and improving my range of motion and my mobility, that is becoming less and less of a factor. Okay. What I've been doing as far as just gentle strength and toning exercises, or not even toning, just gentle strengthening exercises for my core and my lower back, is also helping me to gently stretch myself back into a position where I'm walking with a straight spine. I'm sitting up. I'm holding myself correctly. I spend so much time in pain. I mean, the natural reaction, just anybody who's ever been hurt in any way, is you want to protect the injury. So whether you bang your elbow, stub your toe, throw your back out, tear a ligament in your knee, whether you fracture something, your automatic response is to put all the weight on the other side, to ease as much pain off of the injured area as possible. That's just normal. But unfortunately, what that meant for me was because I was in so much pain just from moving, because I was misaligned, my back was misaligned, I was putting all kinds of strain and stress on the left side of my body, and I was walking hunched over to try to curve into myself, right, to protect my back, to take the pain away. Only that didn't help. It made the areas that needed strengthening to get even weaker, and it just meant that now I was going to have an even greater time trying to undo incorrect posture for 9 years, which is a long time. Now, it's getting better and it's improving, absolutely. But what I find I do every day is I have to stand up against one of the doorways, and I stretch my hands like right above my head, and I grab just our thresholds, the top where the doors are not super high. So if I stretch up, I can actually grab it, and I just hold on, and it's like I'm stretching out my spine, decompressing it. And even if I stand there and just do that for like 20 seconds, I already feel much better. Basically, the only weight I use, I have a 1.5 kilogram little weight disc, which I hold with both hands above my head whilst I do deep squats. Like, knees shoulder width apart, and I just squat up and down until I can feel the muscles start to shake in my legs. And then I know I'm done. I'm enjoying the feeling of exercise. It's kind of like you learn the difference between there's the sharp pain that comes when you've injured yourself versus a very minor kind of almost like a dull ache kind of pain that you get because your muscles have been worked. You know, they feel a bit shaky or they're a bit wobbly, but that's okay. It's all good. You don't want to push much beyond that, and that just now you need the day to recover, which is now what I'm learning to do. And you know, when I watched an interview that Bart Kay did on Pim Jensen's channel a while back about autoimmune conditions and brain signals and all of that, it made so many things clear to me suddenly. And what it is this, and Bart talks about this whole placebo effect, which is, for those of us with fibromyalgia, we feel pain throughout our soft tissue. The pain is actually real. We actually do feel actual pain. However, the signal that tells our brain that there's an injury there is a false signal, which means maybe you just gently stubbed your toe. But to you, you are feeling the sharp pain of somebody who dropped a heavy object on their toe. Now, should we feel that amount of pain for a slight stub? No, but it's because for some reason, we are getting false pain signals into the brain. So it's not that we're making things up. It's not that, you know, we're faking it. We actually do feel the pain, but the signal is false. It's based on false information. Now, as to why that happens, nobody really seems to have a definite answer to that one yet. My theory is this. There probably was an actual injury at some point or some sort of a trauma. And for whatever reason, when we have inflammation in the brain and in the body, which is what, essentially that's what fibromyalgia is for whatever reason, we send out these signals of false information. Sorry, not false signals, because the signals are being sent to the brain, but they're a result of false information. And when I got rid of all of the inflammatory foods in my diet, I couldn't believe the improvements I saw just from that alone. Okay? Proof? Okay, well, by May of 2020, I was close to 210 pounds. I'm 5'5". That's a lot of weight. That is obese. Okay. The last time I weighed even close to that was over 20 years ago when I was pregnant with my second son. And I was not pregnant. I wasn't even, overeating. I wasn't massively gorging or stuffing my face in any way. But the foods I was eating were causing inflammation. They were high carb, by the way, carbs are found in everything except for animal meats. Okay? I think there's some slight carbs in eggs, but minimal. They're offset by the fact that they're full of protein and fat and cholesterol, good cholesterol. But basically, I was so completely eating the wrong stuff. And all it was doing was leading to sore joints, pain, and my arthritis flared up, my rosacea was out of control. So it's a little bit there today, just because I took a really hot shower this morning. But it was, my joints were swollen, my knees hurt all the time, my feet hurt all the time. Everything ached. I couldn't even stand the touch of someone trying to give me a hug because that hurt. I couldn't wear trousers or jeans because the waistband would always feel too tight on my skin. Belts were never going to happen. So I lived in leggings and loose, floaty tops. And even then I was uncomfortable. All the time. And I was already taking 2,100 milligrams of gabapentin a day. I was on baclofen, 2 to 3 times a day, which is a muscle relaxant, as well as the cocodamol, which here, each pill is 30 milligrams of codeine with 500 milligrams paracetamol / Tylenol. And I was taking 2 of them at a time, 4 times a day, which is the maximum dosage advised. Okay, I was taking all of that. And I still could not get on top of the pain. Everything hurt. I lived in a permanent fog. I felt like a total zombie all the time. And my weight, it didn't matter that I was, counting calories. Which, by the way, doesn't work. It didn't matter that I, was eating whole wheat toast with peanut butter, because that's good for you, right? Good, healthy fats. Nuts are good. Of course they are. And I had started juicing, and yet my weight crept up because I was eating the wrong things. And as soon as I cut all that stuff out, essentially carnivore is an elimination diet. Okay. And when you cut out everything except for all the different animal meats, and that includes fish, by the way. When I say meats, I mean like pork, poultry, fish, seafood, and red meats like lamb and beef and venison, whatever else. Okay, so when all I was left with was that's when I started to see changes. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. I was thrilled because initially, the first thing I noticed was within the first month, I lost 15 pounds. 15 pounds. Where even with the thyroid medication, even with restricting my fruit intake, even with avoiding baked treats and goods mostly, my weight was still creeping up. And I was frustrated, I was anxious, I was depressed, I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't. And I would say at this time, it did not help that I was also not walking deep in my faith with God. I believed in Him. I knew somehow He had a plan. I wasn't sure what it would be. But that was the extent of my walk with God. And most of that was because the fog from the fibromyalgia was so bad. I couldn't think straight. I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't focus on anything. That's where I was at. And by the time the end of May came around of 2020, both my husband and I put some weight on. And we said, hey, let's try something. Let's do this together. Let's change our diet, see what happens. And his sister had recommended a paleo book that helped her reverse her Hashimoto's. So we thought, sure, we'll give that a try, right? Dark leafy greens, smoothies, juices, nuts were still a part of it. And while he lost about 10 pounds, I think I gained 3. And I was just devastated. And that was it. I knew this was not going to work for me. I skipped ahead in the book and saw that, if getting rid of dairy and soy and gluten and sugar isn't enough, then start cutting out some of the dark plants, maybe cut out some of the nuts and seeds. And in fact, what I came to realize quickly was I had to cut them all out completely. I cut out all the plants completely. I had to. Because I knew that they were the worst thing possible for my IBS. And if nothing else, I at least wanted to not feel like I was full of solid, like I was so painfully bloated. I felt like somebody had filled up a hot air balloon, but then it turned it into cement, right? My belly was hard, it was always distended, and I was just miserable and significantly depressed, super anxious, and of course COVID, right? So none of that helped. And I realized this paleo thing was not going to work for me. It just wasn't. And in the back of my mind, I remembered, hey, what about this keto thing? Because my sister-in-law had done it for a form of arthritis that she had been diagnosed with, and my brother had done it with her, and they seemed to have good results. So I thought, what was it, ketogenic? Yeah, let me look into that. Maybe this will help. Now, Is that a coincidence that I just happened to think of it? No, that was the Spirit of God working. And I tell you what, after doing a deep dive into the ketogenic protocol, what is low carb, what is intermittent fasting, and all this sort of stuff, I found a place with good, solid information, and I began eating a ketogenic diet. And I started to see results almost right away. All of a sudden, I didn't have this tight, hard pain in my belly. I didn't feel bloated. Now, the loss of the weight and inflammation would come over the next few weeks. Yes, absolutely. And the more I cut out the plants, the better off I felt. And so I would say by the beginning of July, I transitioned into full carnivore. Absolutely. I was zero carb. I had gone through a slight phase where I was putting cream in my coffee. And for some people that works, but because I do have an issue with lactose in large amounts, in large quantities, the cream it just killed me. It was just not a good idea. So I would include it, and then I'd step away from it for a few weeks, and then I would try it again, and I'd be okay for a couple days, and then I would find the roof of my mouth would get itchy, my skin would start to feel itchy, and I couldn't do it. So I learned how to drink my coffee black. No sweetener, definitely kept all the sugar out, didn't have that. And it was fantastic. It was amazing. By the end of August of 2020, I was already down like 35 or 40 pounds. I kid you not, okay? And that was just because all of the carbs were gone. I just cut them out, full stop. Now, is it advised that you do that? Maybe not. But when I first started paleo, I was already cutting out so much to begin with that by the time I was ready to transition into carnivore a month or two later, I'd already gotten through that keto flu or the withdrawal symptoms. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. But once I started heading into carnivore, I started to feel so much better. And I realized, holy smokes, I actually have a bit of energy now. I actually sleep at night. It was incredible. I was starting to lose weight, not just all the water weight that my body was hanging on to through eating carbs, because that's what it does, is the carbs are help keep you hydrated. In other words, if you consume carbs, the water weight will be kept on your body. Get rid of the carbs, you lose weight through flushing out the water, and also you flush out the fat, right, through your body as well. And I realized, wait a minute, I feel pretty good. And it wasn't long before I was down almost 50 pounds. By Christmas of that year, I think I was down almost 55, maybe 60 pounds. However, I didn't do it perfectly. That Christmas, I decided that I was going to allow some gluten-free, sugar-free treats into the house. Just, get through the holidays. And my husband found these great shortbread cookies. They were gluten-free. And they said, they were sugar-free, but they were loaded with stevia and monk fruit and sweetener, right? So what was going to be just one or two, because nobody else wanted them, ended up becoming the entire packet of, 15? Not one day, but over a few days, they were gone. And I came to realize a few things. One, that I cannot moderate carbs or sweet things of any kind. I have to abstain. Because if I have one, I want the whole amount. And that is so bad for me. There are some people out there who can. And you know what? If they can and they enjoy and they enjoy having an occasional treat, great. That is not for me to decide, not for me to judge. If that's what they want to do, that of course they can. It's their choice. I don't, because I cannot. Because I have a history with and a definite previous addiction with carbs and sugar, I must avoid completely. Doesn't matter if it's sugar in the form of glucose, sucrose, or fructose. I cannot consume it. By the way, yes, our brains do need glucose to run. However, our bodies were designed by God to make all the glucose required for the brain through a process called gluconeogenesis, where it is more than happy to take the blood ketones, or the fat in our body, and use it and convert that into glucose for the brain. Carbohydrates are not required at all, ever, in any amount for humans to live. We can choose to have them. They are not essential macronutrients. If you don't believe me, watch any of the videos by Dr. Ken Berry, watch any of the videos by Professor Bart Kay, watch any of the videos by Dr. Anthony Chaffee, watch any of the videos that are put out by Professor Ben Bickman, and so on and so forth. We do not require carbohydrates in any form of any kind for the human body to function optimally. I mean, God is amazing, right? Let's think about this. When he made the world and everything in it, think about how the order of which he made things, right? He made the heavens and he made the earth. He made the morning and the evening and the sun and the stars and the moon. The first things he put on this earth, once he separated the lakes and oceans and sea from the land, was he put all the seeds in the ground to grow all the plants, all the trees. Some that would bear fruit and berries, some that would grow vegetables and other plants first. Then he created all of the animals, those that would become domesticated, those that would live wild and free. He made them next. So all the birds, all the fish, all the seafood and sea creatures, like sea mammals, for example, made all of the things that slither and crawl, and all the bugs. He made all of the ruminant animals, all of the lamb and beef and venison and bison and all the pork, so all the pigs, all the sheep, all the chickens and ducks and other birds that we can consume. All of those things came after the plants. And then, after all of that had been created, that's when he created the humans. So we would have food to eat when we were created. And he gave the animals to us to consume. You know, you don't have to believe me, but if you want to know more from a faith point of view, Genesis, the book of Genesis, chapter 1, I believe chapter 3, 5, and even 9 refers to how God created the world and the way and the order in which he created things, and that it was for a specific purpose, and that was to nourish us. Plants were consumed by humans as a desperate last resort in between times of having an animal killed, so we would not starve. However, if we had not been greedy, if we had learned to share and not overhunt and waste all the large animals that once existed, that would never have been needed in the first place. Because think about it, the Inuit peoples have never had plants, have only ever had animals, and yet they still survive and thrive. So clearly, the plants were not essential for the humans. They were essential for the livestock, not for us. And let's be honest, when you think about eating things like, trying to eat things like corn, carrots, and certain beans, they are never fully digestible by humans. They're just not. Think about what happens. A lot of these things cause gas, like bloating, passing wind. If you go to the bathroom later, you'll find that quite a bit of it has not been at all digested or broken down. It comes right back out of you. Why? Because our systems are never designed to have that in it. The reason why pigs and cows and chickens and, lamb, to name a few common ones, can have those things is because they were designed to. More so specifically the ruminant animals. So lamb or the sheep and the cows and the buffalo and the bison have multi-chambered stomachs, created and designed by God specifically to break down every single bit of cellulose and fiber from all the plants, all the seeds, all the beans, any of the cereals that they would eat were fully digested, absorbed, and either used to build muscle and fat or gotten rid of, and therefore fertilize the earth going forward. Humans aren't made that way. We were never designed to be like that. Which is why when you eat those things, everybody will have some degree of gas or flatulence or discomfort for that very reason. We're not designed to eat it. Just because we do eat it doesn't mean we should, right? And again, what may have started out, say, several thousand years ago as humans going, right, there's no animals, we're going to starve. Well, what the heck do we eat? Oh, wait, these things growing in the ground. Maybe if we cook them, maybe if we heat them, maybe if we soak them for for a full cycle of the moon or a full month, then maybe we can eat them and it won't kill us. So things that were eaten out of desperation to avoid starving doesn't mean it's something we should be having every single day in our diet. And I didn't realize how true that was until after I got rid of all the stuff. My IBS symptoms have been virtually non-existent since going carnivore. Now, if I have too much caffeine, if I allow myself to get anxious and stressed, well, then that's a whole different ballgame. Then yes, it flares up, because those are triggers too. Not just the food, but any stress or anxiety can also do it. Those of you with IBS will know. So that's my background story. In total, since I started carnivore almost 3 years ago, I have lost a grand total of 80 pounds. 80. Actually, let me think about this. No, actually, I've lost close to 90 pounds. Now, I've put a few pounds back on because I've been building muscle, and I'm okay with that. But I feel incredible. I have zero brain fog. Zero. None. I've been able to do stretches and gentle strength exercises, just some deep squats and some stretches for my hip flexor, for my lower back. As I said, decompressing by, standing up against the door frame and just stretching as tall and as long as I can. And all those things have been helping me. And I feel fantastic. Now I have zero gabapentin. Zero. This is day either 4 or 5 of zero gabapentin. And I don't feel the need for it. I feel fantastic. Now, I came off of it very gently. Okay? I did not quit it cold turkey. Please don't quit medication cold turkey. It is so dangerous. I eased out of it over a 2-month period. And I am gabapentin free. I've gone from taking of my cocodamol, again, like I said, I used to take 2 pills at a time, 4 times a day. Now, I take 2 pills, typically only once a day. And that's in the evening, because after a full day of just being out and doing stuff and enjoying life, I might get a little sore and achy towards the end of the day. It helps me with being able to sleep through the night. For now, I am hoping to get off of it fully. That is the plan. That is the desire. That's the dream. And since God is healing me, why not? It's absolutely a possibility. I have not been on baclofen in over a year. I do not use wrist braces anymore for my arthritis in my thumbs. I do not use compression gloves any longer for my stiffness in my finger joints. What else? Oh, well, I wear jeans. I wear trousers with a waistband, like these nice, see, comfy khakis. I'm still not huge on belts, just because it's one extra thing to have to do up or undo. But they don't bother me anymore. Life is amazing, truly amazing, and I take no credit for it other than listening to the Holy Spirit, seeing where God wants me to go, and going there. And it was absolutely, I believe it was His will that I find my way to keto so that I could then move to carnivore. Why? Because that was going to bring me ultimate healing, getting rid of all of the inflammatory foods. I still get, my joints get sore sometimes. Of course, I'm 50, I'm almost 51. We all get a little stiff and sore at times. That happens. But it's not debilitating. It doesn't make me feel like I've got to crawl into the corner and hide and stay there for the next, 4 days or whatever. I feel pretty amazing. Now, especially now that the weather's been getting better, I go out in the mornings, I close my eyes and lift my face up towards the sun. Because I don't want to stare at the sun and go blind, right? But I hold my face up towards the sun with my bare feet on the ground in the backyard. I ground, I enjoy the rays of the sun, and it gives me extra energy. And it really does help set my circadian clock and rhythm. I use my blue light blockers that just clip over my glasses after dinner at night, and it helps me wind down for sleep. I don't always do it perfectly. Sometimes I forget, or I'm out, or we're doing something fun, we're out late. Then, okay, that's a bit different. But it's not like it is more that I follow the good habits. Then every now and again I'll let myself have a break and do something different with people, right? But the one thing I don't change is I do not change carnivore. I am excited because I have felt almost no anxiety lately. I do not feel depressed anymore. I have not struggled with my bulimic thought patterns in a while. And it's amazing. It doesn't mean that they won't happen. It doesn't mean they won't come back and try to take over. In fact, I can almost guarantee that by the time this video is done, Satan's going to be testing me, because that's what he does. But I don't let it take over. And that is because the greatest gift of all, out of everything, was my renewed relationship with God. When my brain fog lifted, as I was heading into September, my brain fog was gone, and I suddenly realized, wait a minute, I could have a thought again. I got my brain back. Well, you know what? I realized how much I wanted to walk with God and be close to God. And my husband wanted the same thing, and so we did that, and we rejoined. We were part of a big faith community online, and then we ended up coming back to one that was local here to us, relatively local, about an hour away in East London. I've never looked back, and I don't want to. I could never appreciate what I have now if I hadn't been away from it the way I was. But God is using my life. And if what I have shared can help someone else in even just the smallest way, it's worth it. That's why I make the videos. There is hope. Look, if you're in a place where you need medication, or you feel like you have to have the medication, whether it's for depression, anxiety, maybe you're bipolar, maybe you deal with being schizophrenic or having some sort of a mood disorder. I don't know. I don't judge. Because up until recently, I wasn't willing to try coming off my medications either. I didn't think I could, until I could. I'm just saying, there is hope. And for those who need the medication, that's okay too. God created the doctors for a reason. If we need something to help us for now, let's take it. I'm just saying that, you know what? You don't have to feel like it's punishment for life. If anyone had told me 9 years ago that I would be gabapentin free and almost completely 100% pain medication free, I never would believe it. There's no way. That I would be doing just some very gentle core strengthening exercises, I'd say forget it. No way will that happen. It hurts too much. But I am. And I realized mainly what it is. It's because I wanted everything to work out in my time. And of course, it all had to work out in God's time, which is the better time anyways, because He's God, I'm not. Spoiler alert. And isn't that what matters most? So I make this video today to say, look, guys, I've been feeling so amazing today. I wanted to share with you guys. I wanted to let you know what I've been up to, what's been helping me. Maybe it'll help you. If you're considering perhaps trying carnivore, I hope you do. I have had nothing but health improvements. Like I said, I've lost close to 90 pounds overall since I started and kept it off. And beyond that, I have reversed or minimized so many of my other medical concerns and issues. It's been phenomenal. Now, is it just because of eating this way? No, I think my walk with God has been a huge factor, because without faith, without believing that a change would be possible, I never would have kept going. I would have just given up. So faith in God is also important. But, you know, as James would say, faith without work is deeds. In my case, faith without the meat and the eggs, there's no point. Well, I mean, yes, there is, but for healing, no. I hope that you find this message somewhat encouraging. That is the whole heart behind it. That is my entire intention. I know that there are some fairly new subscribers. I'm so glad that you decided to subscribe to this channel. I'm so glad that you feel what I have to say could be helpful somehow. And I hope it is. And I'm so thankful for just the absolute pleasure and the joy and the blessing of being able to share my story, my journey, my experience with you guys. I don't think there's anything else to add at the moment other than I'll keep you guys updated. Hopefully, I will be fully off the cocodamol soon as well. And wow, won't that be an amazing thing to be pain medication free. I'm still taking my sertraline, although I hope to get off of that soon as well. But I'm still taking it, and I am staying on my thyroid medication now. For now, we'll see what happens. I have to go in for my annual checkup in August, get all my bloods done and stuff like that. I already was able to come off of all my statins. So who knows? If my thyroid is finally working like it's supposed to, then I might be able to stop taking that stuff as well, which would be great. But I hope you guys are encouraged. I hope you guys are feeling inspired. I hope you guys find something from this video that can help you or encourage you in some way. Thank you so much for your support, as always, and I really appreciate it. I will see you guys soon in the next video. Take care.